What is good, YouTube? Hey, it's Jay, and I'm back again tonight with another video. Now, we just finished pulmonary function testing, but I promise you that we were going to have to do a pulmonary function testing part 2. And we're talking about pulmonary function part 2 tonight. Now, if you are a respiratory therapy student or someone seeking to take the TMC exam, I'd like to welcome you to Respiratory Therapy Essential for the TMC exam. All of our content is related to you passing the TMC exam on your very first or your next attempt. Are you ready to go? Let's go. Okay, guys, tonight we will finish pulmonary function, and our lesson is pulmonary function testing number 2. Roman number 1, I'll be working from my left to my right on the board. You must know for the test about the spirometer because they are calibrated using a 3.0 liter syringe, or you'll see it's called the super syringe, that is actually calibrated in a specialty lab, and it is certified. Okay. A volume measurement device must be used called a respirometer. All of these devices have to be calibrated, and you will be asked about that on the TMC exam. Now, as far as obstructive diseases are concerned, there are 5 obstructive diseases: asthma, chronic bronchitis, bronchiectasis, cystic fibrosis, emphysema. And when we talk about emphysema, I want you to understand that emphysema is the only obstructive disease associated with a poor DLCO, which is a diffusion problem. Okay. Now, some of you have learned these by C-Babes. It worked for me. So it really doesn't matter. Long as you know the 5 obstructive diseases, everything else are restricted diseases on this exam. Okay, everything else is a restricted disease. If it's not C-Babe, if it's not asthma, chronic bronchitis, bronchiectasis, cystic fibrosis, or emphysema, it is a restricted disease. Now look in the middle of a board. You will see this diagram. And I know in your studies you have seen this diagram or this graph, and I have labeled them because what most people don't tell you is that you will have to label this graph on the TMC exam. Okay, the blue lines in the middle, you will see to the left, it says tidal volume. And then you have the vital capacity. And above that, you have the inspiratory reserve volume. And below the vital capacity in the middle, you have the expiratory reserve volume. And then below the dotted lines, you have the reserve volume. Up to your right, all the way up, you have the inspiratory capacity, and we will explain these right up under this graph. If you add all of these up, then you get the total lung capacity, or your TLC. Now, the inspiratory capacity is equal to, this is what you have to know on the test, the IC, or inspiratory capacity, equals your tidal volume plus your inspiratory reserve volume. Tidal volume plus your IRV. Your functional residual capacity equals your expiratory reserve volume plus residual volume. The vital capacity, if you know nothing else, know this one for the exam. The vital capacity equal to your tidal volume plus your IRV plus your ERV. You will have to know that for the exam. The total lung capacity, like I said, is all of these added together. Okay. So if you know the IC, the FRC, the VC, and the TLC for this exam, and you know where these are labeled on the graph, you'll be okay on the exam. But they'll give you this diagram and ask you to label what it is. Okay. And there it is right there in front of you. Now, pulmonary function tests. Remember, tells us about small and large airways, the function of the alveoli and the interstitium. Now, back to what I said earlier. Remember this for the exam, that in order to find the residual volume, which never leaves our lung. You cannot get rid of the residual volume out of your lung, okay? But the only way to measure residual volume, you must do a nitrogen washout, helium dilution, or you must use the body plague, okay? You must use it in order to find the residual volume. They will ask you to find the residual volume or how or what test you need on the TMC exam. Now, another thing that I don't want to omit that's on the exam is number 4 at the top to the right, the gold standard for COPD. You must know these 4 stages. Stage 1 is when the FEV1 is greater than 80%. Stage 2 is when you're at 50% or less and the FEV1 is less than 80. Stage 3 is 30% or less, equal or less, and the FEV1 is less than 50%. Severe is when there is stage 4 and the FEV1 is less than 30%. These are the gold standards when it comes to COPD. And yes, you will be asked that on the exam. And number 5, you will also have to categorize obstructive and restricted disease. You must know these by number. Normal for both is 80% or higher. When you have a mild obstruction or mild restriction, then the numbers are 60 to 79%. If there is moderate impairment, that means they are at 40 to 59%. Severe is when they have a less than 40% of predicted. And all of these numbers is percentage of predicted. And there you have it. Good luck. Screenshot the board or go back and listen to this video before you sit for the exam. Okay, guys, that's pulmonary function 2. Hey, listen, I really need your subscription. I'm working hard to get you through this exam, and I know that you would pass it if you consider the thing that I've placed to you on this board. Listen, hit the like button for me. Subscribe to my channel. Turn on your post notification because I give you a video every single week concerning respiratory therapy essential for the TMC exam. And until next time, we out.